All right. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. It is September the 28th. This is Jonhson, also known as Rattletrap 1776 to some people. There's a lot of fake profiles out there, so be sure, I say this on the front, be sure to follow the correct pages. My link tree is linktr.ee/1776nation. So be careful who you're following. There's a lot of frauds and scams out there. It's already tough enough to be me. All right, probably one of the most hated people under President Donald John Trump, especially to the liberals. But that's all right. It's part of the job. It's part of the role. It's part of the duty to wake you Nimrods up out there who think you know more than the president, who think you know more than everybody else that's working under the president. So I'm going to try to keep it clean today. Thank goodness for a praying mother and a godly mother who sends me Bible verses all the time and reminded me to be still and know that He is God. So I'm going to have a little fun with this today. But it's right out the gate, we got to remind people that you're watching a special operation, 45-47. It still baffles me how many people can look at this right here and think that this is some error, or it's just a visual, or you think that President Trump's just doing that just because. I mean, there's a lot of things that baffles me, but I still can't wrap my mind around anybody who claims to love President Trump, claims to love this nation, claims to love the military, claims to love all things MAGA, but you don't know anything about 45-47, which are strategic, special operations, laws, orders that make that visual. The whole thing is a visual. Like if you were to put brackets around it like that, it's not going to stop after 47. But if you look at it this way, it had to be done this way. Everything had to be done this way. Because most Americans, and you can choose which one you are, boy, I could probably tag some of you that we saw in the comment boxes the last few weeks and point you out. But we won't do that. But some of you are those who wait to the last second when you're losing something to fight versus fighting on the front. Facts are facts. It's just straight up a principle, and most of you don't live by principles. Most people don't live by principles, parallels. All right, I always use those in teaching, a principle and a parallel, meaning that if you have an example of one thing and it's good, and you have another example over here of another thing and it's good, that's a parallel, and it's a principle. But when you have something over here that's a good thing by somebody good in an operation, but you have something over here that's good by the good guys in an operation, and you want to say those are completely opposite, you're a hypocrite and you're a bigot. And it don't matter if you call yourself Republican, conservative, patriot, MAGA, whatever you are. If there are two things that are absolutely provable with laws and orders currently invoked, but you're calling one thing fake and another thing real, you're a hypocrite and you're a bigot. And maybe you should think about that there's some people who might just know more than you. There are some people who are just smarter than you, have more IQ than you. That don't mean they're better. It don't mean they act better. But there are some people who are just put in positions that know more than you for your own good, for your own safety, and for your own future. But some of the comments in the last few weeks, you know more than the president, so why are you where you are? You know more than military, so why are you where you are? You know more than me, so why are you where you are? Why don't you have #1 best-selling books? Braggadocious? Okay, fine. I'll be braggadocious for a moment. I'm the only one who says that word all the time, and all of a sudden President Trump says the word braggadocious. He gives peaceful validations all along the way. He knows who's fighting. He knows who's on the front. He also knows who's doing what? Paying attention to his laws and orders. He's the face of. He's the face of it. His name, brand, image, likeness. This is the military putting these on. All of these laws and orders back here are bigger than President Donald John Trump. He just was the one who signed up to put his name, face, brand, image, likeness on it, and rightfully so, somebody had to do it. But when you trash President Donald John Trump, you're also trashing the military. When you say stuff that goes against what is absolutely in a blueprint in current laws and orders, you're trashing the military. So if you think I'm harsh and rude and all the comments we've seen the past week, you love President Trump because he's harsh, straightforward, direct. You love Tom Homan because he's harsh, straightforward, direct. You think they're the only ones that can fight for this nation? You are gravely mistaken. And it's why you look the way you look in the comment boxes, because you don't fight. And I can tell you what, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a preacher, pastor, evangelist, none of those things. But I can tell you what, when it says I have fought the good fight, it ain't talking about the comment boxes on social media. That ain't what it's talking about. So if you think that that's what it's going to mean when they lay your butt in a box somewhere down the road, no, that ain't going to mean that. But you can go ahead and get you a preacher to preach you right on into heaven if that's what you want. But that ain't what it means. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. Sorry it wasn't Billy Graham telling you that. Sorry it was little old me telling you that. But that ain't what it means. And some of you have waited to the last second and you want to look atrocious. You're not even listening to the man you claim to support. You know nothing about the man you claim to support. You know nothing about the military. Nothing about it. You think you do. I've heard all the comments. My cousin was this, my cousin was that, my daddy was this, my uncle was that. Don't matter. If your daddy, your uncle, your auntie, whatever you want to call them, whoever they are, if they don't know the current laws and orders invoked and how they outline into this blueprint that outlines this 45-47, it don't matter who they are. It don't matter how high ranked they were, what their DD-214 looks like, what their resume looks like. It don't matter if they don't know what's taking place. So how is it that all the laws and orders just keep aligning with everything that comes out? How is it that everything that keeps coming out by President Donald John Trump aligns with unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, government in exile, puppet government, things that you call old fogey and I ain't never heard of that before, that's far-fetched and all. It's because you don't know. Because some people just know more than you, and that's okay. But it's like that quote that I put up all the time about wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come with age. Just because you grow old, wisdom don't go with it. If you're not reading, studying, applying all along the way, you can grow old and still be a moron. You're just an old moron. And if you don't like someone being direct and straightforward with you, then you can't love President Trump and you can't love Tom Homan. But if you think that only the big names are the ones that can fight for you, you, my friend, are the reason why the swamp grew and it lasted as long as it did, because of your mentality. If you think that the big names are the only ones that can fight for this nation. So calling me rude and all these other things, let me do it this way. Hear that rhythm there? Yeah. Hip, hip, hooray! Remember the old school stuff? Well, then great. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and ruffling your feathers. Because some of you look atrocious the last few weeks. You look atrocious. And the people here, shout out to all of the faithful, good followers of President Donald John Trump and our military first, because this ain't about me. But shout out to all those who follow, faithfully follow, and have the faith, and have read and have studied the blueprint that's in place that God gave my brain. He gave it to me, and I lay it out. And think about this. Have you ever thought about this? Look at all the time that I spend. Look at all the long posts. Name another platform that you're going to get quote-unquote free information. Layers and layers and layers from .gov, .mil, along with intellectual property and intelligence, as they call it. How? Where? Who? Who's going to give you that? So you have no excuse to be in my comment boxes interrupting the good followers who are making good comments and interacting with each other. You have no excuse to be in my comment box outside the fact that you're either not really a President Trump supporter or a libtard. Because if you look like a libtard, you just might be a libtard. Or you might be a rhino. And President Trump shows all the time, he said, why is it always Republicans arguing with each other? He's not talking about Congress. They're under a continuity government. See, if you knew that, you would know that everything you're watching with Schumer and Schiff and all these different people Mike Jonhson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know that's all part of the operation. If you'd shut up long enough and read and study, divorce your emotions, divorce your feelings, and actually go, you know what? Why is this guy staying around? How is it that everything that keeps coming out, daily, weekly, monthly, aligned to these #1 best-selling books? How? And how are these in print since December 2023, the first one here? And how did this stem from my documents from January 2021? How did I know way back then what's taking place right now? See, a lot of you have a problem with age. You think, well, how does this young guy know this? You let age stand in your way. You let all these other things stand in your way. A lot of you commenting are from 50 years old to 70 years old. And it baffles you, puzzles you, whatever the words are, that someone can know more than you at your age, twice as young, 10 times younger, whatever the number is. You know, our history's been passed down. Look at our history. No technology, no computers, no cell phones, no phones. Everybody that passed down our Revolutionary War history had to write it down. They had to observe it, hear it, both, write it down, pass it forward, preserve it. What we have in this nation is a listening problem, an attitude problem, entitlement problem. Every single one of you who commented this week, guess who you are? You're the target audience. And you're mad because someone's calling you out on it. If you want to escape the target audience, you're right at the right place. You're on the right platform. There are a lot of followers on here who would be glad to help you. If I can't see something in the comments or whatever it may be and address it on a post or whatever it is or a video, there's so many people who are faithful followers of the military and President Donald John Trump who have read and studied everything in place that most certainly does outline 45-47 as a unique, special, strategic operation via unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, and things that you've never heard of. And rightfully so, because you've been living your spoiled life all this time, spoiled by whom? You're only as free as your surroundings allow you to be. And God forbid, there's a group of people out there, good guys, who knows what's going on, but also knows how to do what? Prevent a world war and a civil war, and we're doing an operation that flips everything back like the Declaration of Independence prescribes and describes. Terminology problem. Americans have a terminology problem. 54% of America, data shows 54%. And this is what's hilarious. Liberals use this data too, which is kind of atrocious. But liberals all over their X. 54% of America read and comprehend at a 6th grade education and below. But you want to be in my comment boxes saying I'm rude and I don't know what I'm talking about and this is BS and this is fake and you know more than the president. I'm just the messenger. Classic shoot the messenger. But you know more than the president. On a comment box on social media, you know more than the president. You know more than the military. You know more than the generals. You know more than the admirals because your cousin was a little private first class over in Fort Benning, Georgia. Not you. It wasn't you again. And there you go trying to speak on behalf of someone you don't even really see on a daily basis and ain't told you much about the military because you weren't in. This is like living 2020 all over again. The last 3 weeks have been 2020 all over again. And think about the people who were commenting to me. Go back and watch my first video. Go back and watch the viral video, the rant as people call it. What did I talk about? Same thing that's happening right now. There were people telling, oh, my uncle was a colonel and I've never heard of this before. Well, great for you. Look what the laws and orders say. Why does it say this? And why does everything keep playing out just like the laws and orders outline, and they're unique laws and orders? They're strategic laws and orders. They're special laws and orders. They're not your typical, normal, everyday laws and orders. And then you have the people, well, why do you fight so hard? Why is it so important? How did we get so dumb in America? How did we get this dumb? I mean, that's all you can say. We have lazy, complacent Americans. Lazy and complacent. You want everybody else to do it, but then you want to complain about it. And then when it's done, you want to benefit from what all of us went through. And I'm not the only one. There's a bunch of people. But you want to benefit from it. That sounds so much like another group of men. The Revolutionary War. 1.7 to 1.9% on average fought during the Revolutionary War. What were the other 98% of people doing? Hiding, whining, complaining, griping, fussing, lazy, complacent. You do it. Y'all go do it. Oh, we will. Yeah, we will. And then you get mad when we have attitudes, passionate attitudes, trying to wake you up, like the Midnight Riders. All right. Hence a book title. You get mad for the people who are passionate and just straight up, it's not an attitude problem, it's passion, trying to show you what is being done for your benefit. Then you don't want to go read and study that blueprint that's actually going to provide that lifestyle for you, preserve that lifestyle for you, not just for you, but your kids, their kids, and their kids, and their kids. Americans are so spoiled in this nation. We have pickleball championships right now. As we speak, pickleball championships. They have skipping rocks on ESPN now, championships. Look at all the football stadiums filled every weekend. If just the football fans in this nation have just a little ounce of just whatever it could be, study, intrigue, whatever it could be, just a little ounce for laws and orders of this land that allows them to go sit in a stadium and not have to worry about any kind of idiot doing something crazy or some kind of whatever it is, bomb, all kinds of stuff. We are a spoiled nation. And Americans who commented all this week, especially those in my comment boxes, you don't deserve 45-47. You don't deserve President Donald John Trump. You don't deserve the military. You don't deserve freedom. You don't deserve anything. I've had people say, I'm leaving your page. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. But how are my numbers going up? If you're leaving, how are my numbers going up? Funny how that works. No, see, you come to my comment boxes because you're getting lost in the shuffle on Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, and all these big blue badge pundits who do nothing but blow smoke up your dresses. All right, they have not shown you one single law and order. Especially even the ones not under an NDA, not in operations. All right, everything that I show you is already been made visible by the people in charge. I don't make predictions with or without dates. Everything I show you is in public laws and orders by President Donald John Trump that outlines a strategic and special operation. And every week, every day, every month, there has been a revelation validation point. And most of them point back to the laws and orders during the first term. So, now, I'm going to address a few things. Again, go back to my first video called The Rant, August 24, 2022, and watch how I talk about how despicable it is, how disgusting it is, that Americans, you don't even want to know the very simple laws and orders that show there's a military operation taking place. And every time you do, and every time you make an atrocious comment like you know more than the president, know more than the military, and don't know the laws and the orders currently invoked, all you're doing is taking one giant crap on every single memorial grave in this land first. Then on veterans, then on active duty, National Guard, and reserve components. The military don't get up every morning and go, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do today, boys? You feel like getting in an aircraft and flying around? President Donald John Trump ain't waking up. If he had my sleep hours, it'd be like this. 9 a.m. Yeah, I can still get some coffee. What you want to do today, boys? What do you think he's working with? How do you think the president's working? If he wasn't working with laws and orders, guess what the libtards would do? And even have a case of dictator, loopholes, fascist, all these things. If he was not working with laws and orders. I mean, what do you people think the man's working with? Then you go run over and you go to every other moving mouth on the internet to find something that fits your fancy. You go over to find something that tickles your fancy. And that way it's in your comfort zone. Because once you question one lie, guess what you got to do? You got to question them all. And that's what you don't want to do. So, but you still come to my comment box because you can be seen over here. You won't get lost in the shuffle. And you want to create all these little comments. And some of my people will eat you up like piranhas. And I don't even want them to do that in another way. However, stupid games get stupid prizes. And it's so right in front of you that, I mean, it is literally that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. I mean, that's why it's so passionate, is that it is literally right in front of you. All the laws and orders show you the visuals. So if you see the visual first, then you might need the law and order. But if you knew the laws and orders, then you might, when the visual finally comes, you're going to be like, oh, that's that. It is that simple. It's that easy. I wouldn't have the followers I have if it weren't for the laws and the orders that keep playing out daily, weekly, monthly, and now yearly. So President Donald John Trump shares a video yesterday on his Truth Social. First off, let's get into that. All of you who claim to be a President Trump supporter, data shows he has 10.7 million followers on Truth Social. He has 109 million followers on X. He don't nearly post on X as much as he does on Truth Social. Truth Social is his baby. He told you to join Truth Social way back in 2021. And then when it came available, I was on a waiting list. Mine got approved in February 2022. I was on a waiting list. I have that screenshot, my number. It was like 409,000 or something crazy like that. Data shows that most of you don't even follow your president when he told you to join Truth Social. But you want to get in my comment boxes and say, oh, he didn't mean to say that, and he's trolling the liberals, and that's fake, and it's AI, and it's this, and it's that. You don't even listen to the president. You don't even listen to the man you claim to support. You dang sure don't know what the 45-47 is on his ball cap. That's not a fluke. That's what makes it so unique and different. That's what's going to make the golden age and moving on into the future and his legacy whenever the man passes, that's what's going to make it so unique and different. But what gets me is I know a lot of the generals and I know a lot of the higher level operators out there, secret. I know a lot of them. And the fact that most of them will never be known and they're still fighting just as hard as I am on the visual for you. Everybody's pulling our weight where we're supposed to be, what we've been tasked to do, what we've been assigned to do. I'm fighting for them. And they're fighting so hard for you, and this is a thanks that you morons give them. And you want me to tone my attitude down, right? I can just see it now. I've heard it all week. You're rude and you're that. Well, maybe I am. I'm not your husband. I'm not your boyfriend. I'm not your cousin. I'm not your daddy. I'm not your uncle. I'm not any of those things. So you'll get over it. All right? You will get over it. And when you see all of the disclosure, you're going to remember me. And it ain't about me, but you're going to remember that. And you're going to know that I had nothing but your best interest, but I was showing you everything that all the people higher up are doing for you. And you crapped on them the whole time, and you didn't even realize what you were doing. This is a man who revolutionized using social media for president, government, politics, whatever term you want to use. This is the man who revolutionized using Twitter to get to people out there and social media. And then you have the audacity to say that it's fake, it ain't real, that's not him, that's a lie. I mean, everything, none of your comments are cohesive either. Every one of you are all over the board, which shows you have nothing but an opinion, and it looks like a butthole, and we know exactly what most buttholes smell like. Crap. You're still not willing to learn something that maybe you just didn't realize you didn't know. You're not willing to sit back, shut up, and keep your mouth shut, and maybe something might have an answer to it within a day or two, a week or two, a month or two. You're still not learning that. You're showing you're still the part of the swamp. You're still the past. You're living in the past. You're captured and controlled because you are the target audience. If you responded negatively to the Charlie Kirk thing, if you responded negatively to this video by President Trump that he posted on his True Social, and the comment boxes even on True Social, which most of you are not a part of, but even the comment boxes were atrocious. Hence why it was taken down. I can only imagine sitting in the command room going, oh, we're going to show people something that's coming. And then all of a sudden, the same people who took the jab, the same people who wore the mask, the same people who didn't listen to the president tell you to take hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine and took the jab, the same people are the ones responding. It's 2020 all over again. You don't even listen to the president. You don't respect the president. You don't respect the military. You don't appreciate the military. The laws and orders outline what's going on. And the president told you in 2020 multiple times on press conferences, and I still have people who will argue to this day that I don't see where he said that. He says it right here. Hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine. What are you not hearing? You going to call that AI now? You want to go back to 2020 and call that AI? You might as well, since you call everything. Now you think you're AI experts. Argued all this past week, 2 weeks now, a clear AI video, not real blood, not whatsoever real blood, a 30-06, ladies and gentlemen. This bullet bullet right here will rip through your freaking neck. You wouldn't have a neck left. You don't listen to military, and you don't listen to deer hunters. The blood never went past the chest, and then you slow the video down and blood splattering this way. How can it splatter horizontally when it didn't even land anywhere? So you show that you don't shut up long enough. You don't let someone maybe a little bit bigger than you know more than you, because everything about that aligns with an unconventional warfare, assassination, deliberate assassination, creation of that outlines something bigger coming down the road. But you're not willing to wait on that. No, hell no. Get in the comment box and let's just piranhas. You're instant gratification people. And you the same people who whine and complain about younger generations being instant gratification, but you look worse than them. Because I know a lot of people right now whose daughters and sons who are in their 20s, somewhere in there, they see the fakeness and it's not real. And you, the ones who claim that they're out of touch with reality, they know more than you. The instant gratification generation know more than you. The man who revolutionized social media, and you know more than him. Boy. COVID. So I go down to the VA the other day, all right? I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, dang, where's COVID? Where's the COVID shot? Looking all around, posters everywhere, get your flu shot here, get your flu shot, here's why the flu shot's beneficial, blah, 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 blah. So me, smart ass me, the same person from 5 years ago who told me I was crazy, asked me how I was doing. I said, well, I think I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I think I'm actually pretty dang good. And then she knew I was being smart aleck. She goes, well, yep, you were right, weren't you? I said, well, it wasn't about being right. It was about getting things right. It was also trying to wake people up to show that, hey, mandate is not a law. Compulsory is not a law. Decree is not a law. All these words are not a law. And guess who failed the test? Every one of you who wore a mask, every one of you. If you wore a mask or you said that your employer made you get your shot, you failed the test. You failed. You didn't stand up. You didn't fight back. You didn't fight. And all of you that saw your friends and family stand up and fight and walk out, and you didn't walk out with them, you're a puss. You failed the test. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it for you. You didn't stand up with them, and you didn't stand up, period, and now you want to look tough now? You didn't fight for children back then, and now you want to look tough now? When the president was sitting there telling you the whole time, hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine. Now, here's what you didn't know. See, in a military operation like this, the 45-47, when the military took over, and they took over Washington, D.C., and they took over the quote-unquote government, all right, they took over all the buildings. When they took over everything, and they kicked the deep state out and or detained them, all right, when they did all that, which there's complete visuals of this happening, you see the new marble floors in the Oval Office? How did that take place? That's not the only thing. You see the dining facility that President Trump put there? That didn't just happen overnight, ladies and gentlemen. That's why D.C. was a ghost town from 2021 to 2025. That's why when President Trump said, okay, in January this year, all the federal employees come back, where were they? Where'd they go? Oh, all that's visuals for you to show you that the military took over. The laws and orders outline this. Unique, strategic, special laws and orders outline this. And you had the president way back then telling you. And here's what they were telling you. They were saying they were trying not to prevent a world war and a civil war amongst people. They were trying to quell everything because Anthony Fauci, 10 days before President Trump took his oath, said at Georgetown University, I guarantee you, in a few years, this administration is going to experience an outbreak never seen before. How did he know that? And then you people don't want to listen to people like me. Back then, long before I had a platform, I was yelling, screaming to the top of my lungs, trying to wake people up, saying, don't take it. Listen to the president. This is a military operation. Listen, it's a military occupation. The military took over. We've taken over. Listen to your president. And you didn't listen to your president. The man that most of you voted for, don't even listen to the president. And then you take this as an attitude. It's passion showing you we're still in an operation. The laws still outline we're in a partial continuity of government, which means we're on the latter side of it. We're on the getting towards a stability, operation stability, which none of you know about because you know nothing about military. You don't even know that there's joint publications for stability. Because you know more than the military and you know more than the president. And you can't quote a single word from a single line, from a single paragraph, from a single law. But you know more than the president and you know more than the military. You know more than generals and admirals. And the president, the whole time, he couldn't give away the operation. That is what you're not listening to. And I've said it over and over and over again, that if you'll listen and study what you're supposed to know as prescribed in the Declaration of Independence, it is your right, it is your duty to know the foundation and history of this nation, but also the laws and orders that outline what you're supposed to be doing as the government. We're the government. And if you'd have known all that back then and listened to the military, you'd have known what was constitutional or not. If you had even a question about that, you would have known if it was constitutional or not, because you would know the laws and orders that were invoked to show you what was going on. And then you'd have also known that your president was trying to guide a ship where he didn't waver, but also not give up the overall mission, which was to drain all the swamp from top to bottom, all the way down. And that requires strategic special operations, not only from the air to the ground, but also underground. And a lot of you are the same people who called us conspiracy theorists, won't even listen to veterans, extensive DD-214 veterans, generals, admirals, colonels, etc. You won't even listen to them, much less me. But you won't even listen to them sit here and tell you that, oh yeah, there most certainly are underground operations. Yes, they are. And then here's a publication telling you about the underground by the military, and you don't even want to listen to that. You don't even read it. We provide you all this information, and you don't even go read a single increment, except for the people who have. But I'm talking to all of you negative Nancys and you Debbie Downers out there that think you're a President Trump supporter, and you're not. You're a hypocrite, and you're a bigot. And if you don't want to be called a hypocrite or a bigot, then you best get to reading and studying what outlines the most biblical, monumental, historical operation known to man. And that's it. It's not just a visual. It wasn't President Trump being facetious towards the deep state. Oh, I really want 2020. And no, it's a blueprint of strategic special laws and orders that outline strategic special operations. It was the only way we could do this, to flip over and do what's prescribed and described in the Declaration of Independence. So during 2020, that's why you saw his gestures sometimes. He'd go, because he knew people were going to lose their lives, but he couldn't give up the overall mission. And that mincing on his face, all you had to do was read the laws and orders that how the nation operates and functions. Americans don't even know how our nation functions and operates. Like I say all the time, go back to my original videos. 68% of America, if you walked up to them on the street, hey, what are the three branches of government? Can't even name the three branches of government. 68% of America. Just name them. Don't tell who writes the law, who enforces the law, and who interprets the law. No. Just name the three branches of government. 68% of America on the street can't do that. But oh boy, do they know more than the military, the generals, the admirals, and the president. Oh boy, are they lighting up every comment box on left side and right side all over social media right now, today. Listening to all the wrong voices, all the wrong names. None of these pundits taught one single law and order. None of these people. So I'm sitting at the VA, and I'm like, where's the... Dang! I finally want the COVID shot! I don't want it! Where's it at? Not. But for humor's sake, I'm like, whoa! Finally, where's the COVID shot? Then we eradicated the flu, and we got COVID, and then we eradicated COVID, and the flu came back. How does that work? All of you who are holier than thou know more than the military and the president. Maybe you can, if you know more than them, then you know more than every legit good scientist on the planet Earth. Explain how we had the flu, got COVID, eradicated the flu and got COVID, eradicated COVID and got the flu back. And tell me why when you take flu numbers, death tolls, and you put them next to COVID, they look the same. That is how dumb and gullible Americans are. You can take a word, remove it, use health, prey on your emotions, prey on your feelings, and prey on health. That is what the deep state, that's all they had to do. Boop. And President Trump the whole time sitting there telling you, hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, the Z-Pack if your heart can handle it. Zinc, he mentioned zinc, he mentioned vitamin. A few vitamins, nobody listened to the president. Go figure. And those are the ones who were in the comment box the last few weeks on CK who refused to see how someone could be playing a special operation to flip society, societal culture, the norms, what people thought was a norm, what shouldn't be, was never supposed to be a norm. Oh, God forbid there's a special operation to flip people over and to get people back on track. God forbid that. Oh, God forbid. There are some good guys that know how to flip the culture, flip societal, flip quote-unquote norms, get everybody back on track. God forbid that. No, hell no. We want to keep arguing and fussing, and I know more than you, and I know more. I've never had a number one bestseller, but I know more than you. I know more than the president, I know more than the generals, and I know more than the admirals. Because that's what you look like. Then you had the people back then, well, the troops are being put there for COVID. For what? For a few little medical things? And then, oh, well, that's what they're there for. Well, how is it that all of the military from 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, present day, how is it that all of the southern border, all those troops are under one order from February 2019? So how is President Trump a dictator and a threat to the Constitution and violating the Constitution? How did, quote-unquote, Biden and Kamala and all these people that you thought were real, why were they, quote-unquote, sending troops to the border? Under a President Trump proclamation 9844 from February 2019? See, that's another one of those principles. See, if you knew what a government in exile is, or was, and if you knew what a puppet government is and was, if you knew what special operations is and are, if you knew what strategic special operations are and is, you would realize that you're watching an operation take place that explains the dash, which is the auto pen, and how President Trump, if this was not an operation, the liberals would be losing their minds that quote-unquote Joe's face is not on the walk of fame for presidents. It's the auto pen. All right? How is it that the troops that are operating today, majority of them outside of the California thing, majority of your troop movement are from Title 10 orders in 2020? How? That is what you refuse to hear. You let your feelings and your emotions control you, and you hear the things you want to hear that's drama-fed, propaganda-fed, but you don't listen to the facts. You don't listen to those. And even if you didn't like them, if you were a liberal and didn't like them, you still need to know those. And that's why we look atrocious. That's why America looks the way it did and does. And that's why this operation had to be done this way. All those questions I received in 2022 and 2023, the negative Nancy's and Debbie Downers back then, and I just can't believe it. Those people, well, you were asking way back then, well, why would President Trump crash the economy on purpose if he was still president? I didn't say he was still president. I said he was a wartime president. Huge difference. But you refuse to hear the difference in a wartime president and a regular president. And that's your problem, not mine. The platform's here for you. We welcome you here. You should be here. This is where you can learn to divorce your feelings and your emotions and see that, boy, I didn't know that even existed. I didn't know there was such a thing. But you better be thanking God that there is such a thing. Because if there wasn't, all of you pansy asses out there that you just feed off of everything just because it's a name and it tickles your fancy, the ones who talk like you, walk like you, and act like you are the very ones who deceive you the most and the best. That's why when President Trump says about the liberals in Congress, he said they're stupid and incompetent ones. Then he said they're smart and stupid ones. So he's using stupid in two different contexts. There's another term most people don't even understand, the word context. Sometimes the words can mean two different meanings depending on how you apply them and what other words you're putting them with, what other terms. America has a terminology problem. It's because you don't read anymore. Most of you. You negative Nancy's and Debbie Downers. Not the good, faithful followers, but those of you commenting, you're just in the comment box and you leave this page and you go to another one. You're in every comment box where it has a short shelf life in the first place. All right? It'll be old news history by the end of the day. All right? You won't even remember where you were last because you're so negative and Debbie Downer in every comment box out there. You don't even remember where you last were, most of you. So maybe you should just stay quiet, learn something you didn't know. But the liberals, again, the liberals actually almost are closer right now to truth. All they need are the facts, and if they're willing to accept them, they're closer to the truth than you rhinos and Republicans and conservatives look in the last 2 weeks. All the liberals saw that it was fake, not real blood, didn't land, splattered to the side, bullet would have ripped your neck off, all these other things. The media said it was a 200-yard shot before they ever had a location and a shooter. I mean, and it turned out being a 200-yard shot. I mean, all these things. And then President Trump posts a video up of his daughter-in-law, which the actual recording was from August 30th, 2025. And Fox and even OAN and Newsmax, they don't put all of every show up on YouTube. So you got to be watching it when it does it, when it happens. All right, you have to see it. They'll put clips up on YouTube, but same setting. You know, her voice ain't the same. His voice ain't the same. It most certainly is the same. You can take every video. See, what you didn't do was do what I do. And take every video clipping of her and then put them all in one video and let it scroll your boat, and you can hear same voice texture, same everything. But you're pretty atrocious if you want to say that a Fox News video or OAN or Newsmax, which are, syndicated TV shows, all right, and they're big, big platforms, you're pretty pathetic to say that. But then the footage that they actually showed you on purpose of a quote-unquote gunshot, they let that circulate. And to this day, on Facebook and X, it's not even graphic content censored, which tells you it's not real. I put up a photo of a deer shot. I said, all right, I'm sick and tired of the negative Nancy's, and I'm putting up a shot of a deer that has a bullet hole in it from a 30-06. This will take an elephant down. A 30-06. Moose, elk, easy. I put up a photo of this entrance and exit wound of a deer. An entrance on a deer's neck. And it looks the size of a baseball. And if you go study a 30-06, it tells you when it's traveling, when that bullet leaves this casing right here, it tells you it's got a 2 to 3 inch circumference of force coming with the bullet surrounding that bullet. It's hard to do it on the screen. So when it hits with that 2 to 3 inch circumference and that force coming like that, then the exit, when it does exit out, it's even bigger on the other side. And you want to argue that a post by the president of his daughter-in-law interviewing him was AI, but you don't want to sit and dig and study and try to just open your mind a little bit that the CK could be a special operation, which it outlines in unconventional warfare and irregular warfare and the laws and orders, 6 executive orders this year alone, and 1 memorandum by the president. So 7 executive actions by the president of artificial intelligence this year alone, and all the other things that outline artificial intelligence. And then the exquisite or intricate dates of how all this fit in together in warfare. That's unconventional for a reason, not conventional, meaning, oh, yeah, the boys are going to Iraq this year. They're going to kick some rear end. Boots on the ground, boys. Here we go. No, it's not conventional. It's unconventional, which means you have to have someone who knows this stuff intricately and extensively to outline that for you. Oh, hell no. You got to question the president himself and what he posts on his True Social, which most of you are not a part of, but you don't want to go look at unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, listen to the military, listen to military specialists, listen to military experts, listen to laws and orders, the people who have books that outline this, well in publication that's showing you what's happening right now. This was in publication way back here, and you want to argue with the president's post was AI. And I mean, let me just say some of the dumbest comments I heard. It's an AI video of what's coming in the future. Well, why does the AI matter? If you believe that the med beds are real, then it don't matter if it's AI or not. It wouldn't matter that part. So see, that's a stupid comment. That's an irrelevant comment. If the med beds are real and they're coming in the future, it don't matter if the video is real or AI. And you're arguing about AI. See, the principle is what's the topic? What's the subject of the video? The subject of the video is not saying, hey, do you think this is real or not? The video, not the object seen in the video. It's the object and the topic seen in the video. Do you believe those are real or not? Okay? Well, if you don't want to believe in those, okay, great. No point of arguing it, though. But when you're sitting here arguing about the video being fake or AI, posted by the president, and then you want to twist it and turn it into some bullcrap that he's playing on your emotions, he's lying, it's fake, you're not a President Trump supporter. You're not. To think that the man would play on your people's emotions of a bed that has some kind of anti-aging or something, all it is a hyperbaric chamber. All right, they've been out, they've been known about. You could go look at zoom in on a photo and look at it. But see, if you don't know what a hyperbaric chamber is, you wouldn't know to screenshot that photo and look at that little glass capsule and then go over to Google and go, hyperbaric chamber? And this picture that he shared, dang, looks identical to me. No, you want to do what? You want to get in the comments and argue. The days of old, that's 2016 and prior. So it means you're staying in your same trenches. You're staying in the same negative environment. You're not willing to learn. You're not willing to learn something maybe that you didn't think existed, or maybe it does. No, you go straight to attacking me. You go straight to attacking the president. You go straight to attack. You're not fighting for this nation. You're not fighting for good. You're not fighting for humanity. You're not fighting for health. I mean, God forbid there is something out there that might actually take down Big Farm. Did you not even think about that? Do you not know what President Trump's been fighting also? Taking down Big Farm? Have you not read his executive orders taking down Big Farm? Have you not read his executive orders combating opioids and all that? Have you not? You clearly haven't. You clearly don't know that this is exposing the deep state. This is showing you that there are health methods out there through the Maha movement that's going to expose what the deep state has controlled you with all this time. You prove that you do not support the military, you don't support the president, you don't support anything under the president. Because this thing right here, everything they're doing and exposing with health is taking out the deep state. They have held things from you for all these years and captured and controlled you. And if you're responding to that, all you're doing, you're validating them. When you're negative about it, you're validating them. Ivermectin won a Nobel Peace Prize. How many people know that? Ivermectin. And what did they do during 2020? They, the deep state, what did they do? What did employers do? What did Tractor Supply and all of these different places, farmers co-ops, what did they do? They listened to whom? The others. Take this off your shelf or else. Some didn't. Some co-ops stood their ground because horses needed it. But guess what some of you didn't do? You didn't listen. And Ivermectin won a Nobel Peace Prize. How many of you knew that? You don't, because you don't read, you don't study, and you don't even listen to the people who know more than you. And there's still people right now, as I speak, messaging my page, telling me, I got the video, I can show you, it's AI. I can see drop downs as we speak. Leave my page, please. Do me a favor. Please leave my page. You're no good to this page. You're no good to this audience. You're no good to this page. You don't listen. It's all about you. You always reacting. You don't listen. If you know more than me and the president and the military, the generals, the admirals, then what are you doing? What the heck are you doing? What are you doing in my comment box? My God, put your resume in somewhere and get the hell out of Dodge. You're at the wrong place if you know more than me, but especially if you know more than the president and the military and all. What are you doing in a little comment box on Facebook and Messenger on my page? You're not listening. You still refuse to listen. You still refuse to read, study, comprehend. You don't listen to the principle. President Trump shared the video. It don't matter why he shared it. He shared the video on his page. I didn't make this up. I didn't Photoshop this. I didn't make a video. The president shared it. And if you'll focus on the topic and know what he's been doing with Big Farm, if you'll know what his orders read with Big Farm and opioids crisis and all the drug trafficking that he's been busting up, if you go look at how all these things tie in and look at the Big Farm, if you look at the bigger picture, then you might just see And I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, showing you what the president's put in place, but also here's his laws and orders, but here's this. He don't make errors, ladies and gentlemen. He don't make mistakes. I'll get messages to this day. Do you think the president knows about this? We are a dumb nation. So, part 2 of my book here is pretty thick, right? 596 pages. Part 2. In here, I talk about special operations. How to divorce your feelings, how to divorce your emotions, how to think strategically, how to think critically. All right, skill sets. I try to dummy down as much as possible how you think, how you get your mind in all these different kind of ways, but also not lose your foundations. Keep a foundation, 45-47, and then how you think strategically. Now, in here, I break down Bill Gates. All right, so we can use Bill Gates as an example, a great example of President Trump using people for pawns, and what they call pawns and fall guys. All right, but Bill Gates is a prime example. All right, he had these 4 companies that they busted up on purpose, all right, for certain things way back when. All right, if you have $400 billion that you raised separate than your own money, you go get a group of people and different people, and you raise $400 billion. This is what Bill Gates and some of his people did. They raised $400 billion. Guess what they created? A vaccine. So they're going into third world countries, all right? They're going into countries that are poverty in the continent of Africa. They're going into those countries in the continent of Africa that are poverty level, that have terrible and dirty water, no irrigation systems, no wells. They have huts, the mud streets. They don't have good clothing, right? And they're going to these little children who have bellies swollen and all the different things, the malnutrition and all. They're trying to give a vaccine. They're not trying to fix the water. They're not trying to clean the water, drill wells, get pure water. We just drilled a well on some of my property over here where I live, and a professional driller, boom, water comes coming out, pure water, pretty water, beautiful well, big well. $400 billion, and they create a vaccine. You know what vaccines do? Oh, it's only 37 cents to make one. Yeah, but it's a residual. And then they create all these different medical fields like we have over here, where they get the doctors and the hospitals and the board of trustees of the hospitals, and they're all doing what? They don't give a dang about you. It's all about the money. Money, money, money. Residuals. Then they work out with your insurance company that you're paying out of. All these different things. And you hadn't listened to President Trump talk about privatize. You haven't listened. Have you not listened to anything? And $400 billion, we got to go create a vaccine, but not fix the water systems, not purify the water, not drill wells, not clean up their living environment, not teach them how to grow food, how to farm, oh, hell no. We got to create vaccines. Every one of you who commented negatively on President Trump's post that he has now removed because the comments were so atrocious, you prove, again, you're captured and controlled, and you might be the very people who you're yelling you're against something like that, the vaccine. How? You might as well support that, because you don't want to believe that there's something that could provide better health without money being involved. You don't want to believe that a man says, I don't need your money. I don't need that money. You don't want to believe that someone can go in and hijack a system for the good and take back over what's been done with DC? You don't want to believe that? Oh, you do, but you just want others to do it. Yeah, you want everybody else to do it, and then when it's all cleaned out, you're going to come out from the ashes, and you're going to be popping that little head out. Is the coast clear? Well, don't be mad at me if I walk by and slap you upside the head and slap your ass back in that hole. All right? Because I'm different. You want compassion, and you want love, and you want someone to pat you on the little bottom and just say, it's okay, it's all right. Yeah, I know you didn't know. No, that ain't me. You could go elsewhere. There's plenty of them out there talking about love and compassion. That ain't me. I'm military. I'm military first. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not here to bottom your behind up and put freaking baby powder on it and go, it's okay, you didn't know. No, that's not me. You stick your head out and I'm walking by, I might slap your head off. You might be going back in that hole for a little while. You're going to be really wondering if the coast is clear if I'm standing by. Because it's atrocious the way some of you have looked the past few weeks. For President Trump, the military, the generals, the admirals, all the military, every aspect of it, the leaders and world leaders who are doing this for you. It's atrocious. And then we just so happen to have a piece that came out September 22nd, which was after the quote-unquote funeral with no casket and no burial. So this is what baffles me. You'll see comments talking about, well, it was private. They wanted it private. Okay, so they used the Air Force Two, which is not private whatsoever, the very next day. All right, I know it's a military operation, but for all the melon heads out there that just refuse to believe that, I'm going to talk to you as if I didn't know what I know. So they used Air Force Two for a guy who wasn't in the military, which would be atrocious for the veteran community. That's the one thing alone that does prove the operation, because if the veterans ever found out and applied that they used the military over a guy who's not a veteran with our sacredness of our military funerals, President Trump would lose the whole veteran community. He would. It wouldn't be pretty. But it shows it's a military operation. But so all the normies out there, you're like, oh yeah, he deserves that. For what? Billy Graham? There's a lot of people who would have been, if we're going to like just say, okay, if the military is going to be like, you know what, Air Force Two the next day, they show the Air Force carrying the casket crooked. Boy, y'all should be bitching over that. That's the thing you should be mad about. If you just want to believe all this is real, why don't you pick out the intricacies that the casket was crooked? I mean, there's a lot of things we could go with here that would, if that was real, was atrocious. Then they showed this awkward video of someone over in Erica, the grief-stricken widow who's smiling and laughing and giggling all over podcasts, and then you got people going, oh, she's tough, she's strong. That's Arizona women for you. What's Arizona got to do with anything? I don't know Arizona women. What does that got to do with anything? What's so priority about naming someone CEO before a funeral with no casket and no burial and no resting place? How come President Trump can be seen with Jimmy Carter, Pope Francis, George Herbert Walker Bush, Billy Graham, touching the casket? But this guy who's supposed to be this great almighty to all of you who just worship the ground that these people walk on and know nothing about, President Trump can't even touch a casket? There's a funeral with no casket. The whole administration, the whole order of succession, sitting in one building, one location. Disastrous for national security, if that were real. So the people who said private, so you saw Air Force Two, you saw the casket, then you saw this awkward video of her laying on his hands, which were yellow. I've been around so many corpses in my life, I don't even want to tell how many. In my short years on earth, I've been to more funerals than I can even name. I've never seen yellow hands. Ever. And I just was at a funeral a couple weeks ago. No yellow hands. Again. God bless you. God bless you. There's nothing private about that. So we can see Air Force, for someone who wasn't a veteran, hands in a casket. Then we see a quote-unquote funeral with no casket. Where'd the casket go? And we see no burial, no resting place, no nothing. And I'm the dumb one, and I'm the crazy one for doing what I've been tasked to do, first off. But I'm the dumb one for pointing out the obvious. And then you got a girl on set who's laughing, giggling, cutting up, and all this other stuff. Fake, 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 no genuine. She didn't choke up one time for you who thinks it's real. Didn't choke up. The love of your life. 36 years old, 31 years old. Now on the 22nd, after this funeral with no casket, no burial, no resting place. And by the way, Tucker Carlson, if you go back and watch his speech, he's laughing his rear end off. He's laughing during over a Jesus story and how they crucified Jesus trying to quiet him. He's laughing his rear end off. No tears. You got 5'3" Lee Greenwood, 6'3" President Donald John Trump, and all of a sudden Lee Greenwood is the same height as President Trump. I thought you were supposed to shrink in old age. All you experts out there who's also been in my comment boxes talking about that. Every time I show the height of President Trump, up next it. How come? Got Lee Greenwood, all of a sudden, I guess he's happy that he's 6'3". He's been 5'3" his whole life. Heck yeah. He didn't have to buy them platform shoes that makes him look taller. All of a sudden, 6'3", baby. Yeah, I'm up here with the president. God bless the USA. Boy, he can sing that a lot more confidently now. He's 6'3". He ain't no little man syndrome anymore. Boom! Big dude. Bingo. Overnight. Lee Greenwood. Who knew? You could go from 5'3" to 6'3". Just like that. No surgery required. You didn't need no miracle grow for humans. Nothing like that. Just, boom! 6'3", baby! That's like the movie Shrek. That's like that donkey getting that magic coat that made it a horse. Woo! I'm a stallion, baby! This is how dumb Americans are. And I am not going to refrain from the word dumb when it's visually obvious that Americans can't even see something so simple. So we have this DHS document that comes out on the 22nd now. Department of Homeland Security, talking about Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, local law enforcement, all law enforcement, federal law enforcement. And it just so happens to tie in with Executive Order 14239 from President Trump, March 2025, this year, which is a portion of the Executive Order for Continuity Government. Because when you go look at the Continuity Government Executive Order 13961, you'll see listed under there that Executive Order, and you'll see the partial quote-unquote revocation by quote-unquote Joe. All right, on the last full 24-hour day of presidency, a partial revocation of the Continuity Government. And then this new Executive Order 14239 by President Trump. All of those are listed together on either one you click on. If you look at 14239, you'll see those two. If you look at 13961, you'll see those two. If you look at the quote-unquote Joe one, I think it's 14149, I believe, maybe another number. But you'll see those two. They all go together. And what are the odds inside of that executive order? It gives a 90-day report, a 180-day report, and 240 days. All right? I did the math wrong the other day in a good way because I was using regular days, but if you use business days, which are the more accurate days because of the federal holidays, etc., it puts you right. So 90 days would be July of this year. 180 days would be December of this year. And then 240 business days would be March of next year. So it tells you that congressional reports are being given to the president the actions prescribed in this executive order. What are the odds that this executive order mentions national security specialty event, which hadn't been done but 3 other times in history for funerals, and all of a sudden Charlie Kirk's getting one that presidents have received? President Reagan, President Ford, and George Herbert Walker Bush? And Charlie Kirk is the 4th funeral in United States history to have a Super Bowl type security, which is Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, federal law enforcement, local law, everybody. And it's prescribed in this executive order way back here by President Donald John Trump for continuity of government. And then also in this executive order, it mentions national security memorandums. How could quote-unquote Joe be meeting with generals and admirals when he don't even have an order of succession in any military domain, but especially National Security Council? How? Order of successions are precedent. And then all of a sudden on the 21st, you're seeing the whole order of succession sitting in one building, one location. That is a direct visual that what you're watching is a movie and it's a military operation. Everything you're watching. There's distraction pieces, there's real pieces. There's few real pieces. The real pieces come more from President Trump on his True Social. If you listen to Dan Scavino, if you listen to Mike Jonhson, if you listen to people, they tell you, press secretary, what did she say? You got to go look at President Trump's True Social. That's the president's platform. He puts things, she specifically said he puts things on True Social he don't put anywhere else. You don't listen to your own president, especially if you claim to follow him. So over here, in this executive order, there's the NSSE, there's the National Security Memorandums, and then there's, what's the thing? Restoring freedom of speech. And President Trump back in January put an executive order out for restoring freedom of speech. What did Charlie Kirk stand for? And he put that amongst all these other things. And then there's another term in there. See that terminology that you people don't want to read, you negative Nancy's. You don't want to read this stuff. What's it say? Cognitive infrastructure. Oh, they found a way to use a different terminology, more sophisticated, to slide it in there. Go Google cognitive infrastructure. Artificial intelligence. And all these things are in one executive order that have a prescription date of 90 days, 180 days, and 240. And all of a sudden, the day after the quote-unquote funeral with no casket, we have a Department of Homeland Security on a .gov site putting out a basically report that we all got together in 6 days' time in record fashion and got all this security together. They have to have quote-unquote events, practice. You probably should try talking to a volunteer firefighter or someone like that. See what they do. Not every time you see an ambulance or a firefighter going down the street is it actually a real scenario. They're trying to teach some of you morons how to get out of the way when you're sitting at a traffic light. That some of you just don't know what to do. Oh, what do I do? I don't know what to do. Everybody else is moving over and I don't know what to do. So how come every single law and order in place has a visual to it? How come? Every single thing that comes out, I can show you a law that backs it and an order that backs it. How come? How come you're arguing with me when I can show you via law and orders that back the law by the man you claim to support that every time something pops out, I can show you a law and an order that backs it? And you're trying to argue with that? Every single thing has unconventional warfare and irregular warfare backing it. See, a lot of you are learning that you don't fight on the front. You fight when you think you're about to lose something. And you show you're guilty. That means you're guilty. You're feeling guilty, and so therefore you come over here and you pummel it in on the comment box where you'll be seen. You're not on Fox. You're not on OAN. You're not on Newsmax. You're not going over there saying, hey, how come you never talk about the laws and orders by the president? Oh, no, y'all don't do that. You don't go over there. You don't do that. You don't go to all these pundits out there, blue badge, red badge. You don't go to them and say, hey, how come you're all drama and propaganda based and everything you talk about is a social thing that has a short shelf life? And how come you never talk about the laws and orders by the president? Because they don't know. Therefore, you should be appreciative of someone like me who cares about you. It ain't about me, but it's because the good Lord put me here and because the operation put me here. You should be appreciative that someone takes the time, studies, reads, and gives you cliff notes. This is the cliff note. This right here, this one and the other one, this saves you from having to go through all my posts on Facebook, on X, on Telegram. See, what's happened is a lot of people come over to my page, and because you don't go to the very first post, however long it takes you to scroll, and work your way up, you're starting from up here, and you don't know anything from way back in 2015, what President Trump has put into place. You just land over here and don't know why. Utilize the page correctly. Go back to the very first post, work your way up. If you're new, especially. You can't just click on the photos either. You gotta go through the very first post and or the very first video and work your way forward. Mark it down. Okay, I was on video number this or whatever it's labeled. Go to that and then work your way forward. You can't pick up from today and expect to know. So, 45-47, 2015 to 2021. President Trump started laying things out in 2015 that showed guys like me that, hey, there's an operation coming. And it's what my grandfather talked about, my great-uncles talked about. Every bit of that aspect of the 200 generals, my grandfather and great-uncles taught me. This has been a plan for years. And they had to do it strategically and special because here's why. If you found out, if they just dumped everything all at once, there's still going to be a few who say this, well, if the military knew the whole time, why didn't they do something before? Well, again, it's always someone else doing it for the one complaining. So there's the first thing. Two, if it happened too fast, too soon, then what would happen? Oh, well, same thing. Well, if y'all could do it all the time before, then why didn't you do it before? Same thing with health. If they dumped out there all of a sudden that there's all these things, there's cures for this and cures for that and cures for this, the people should be mad at the deep state and all of the people, even though you play a part in it because you don't know how your government functions, you don't know what we the people actually means, you don't know anything about your foundation, your history, you know nothing about that, and you let the swamp grow and you let the swamp control you and you let the swamp just keep doing it over and over and over again. So there's that. But then also, if you found out all of a sudden there was a cure for all these things, you wouldn't be mad at the people who controlled you. You'd be mad at the ones who knew and saying, oh, if you knew the whole time, why didn't y'all do anything? See, which shows again, you're negative and you're Debbie Downer. You're always wanting to point the blame at somebody, not yourself. And it's your fault and it's everybody's fault in this nation. Because some of you didn't listen to the very people who, like me, who have risked a name and face and image, all right, saying, well, I know what I know, and I'm not the only one. There's people following this page, name, face. They've been saying it to their friends and family, their colleagues, etc., but we're in the small minority, all right? In the Revolutionary War, also, that minority shows as well. The ones doing the fighting on the front are very small. And if you'd have listened the whole time, and even stood up, even if you didn't know everything, but if you'd have just stood there going, you know what, I know him or her, and I know they're good as gold, and I know they know what they're talking about, and this, that, and other, and I went and saw it. I see it's there. I see the laws and orders. I don't comprehend it all, but I know they do, and I know this is that. And if you'd have just been that person, like the little flag boy or the little bugler in the war, just be the bugler. Just be the drummer. You can play the drums. You can do something. But why you got to be negative? Why you got to be Debbie Downer all the time? Why? This is what the swamp was drained for. It's to leave that mentality. Get out of that. Have some passion. Have some fire. Have some fight. It's not rocket science, though. President Trump shows you the whole way. And again, I thank God for listening to my grandfathers and great uncles, because somebody had to do it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be standing in the fire, standing there taking all the slurs and the slander and the hate and the mockery and the ridicule. A lot of you claim to be Christians. That's what's bad about it. A lot of you claim to be Christians. And the man that you claim that you worship, your Savior, look at what he went through. Betrayed by his own inner circle multiple times. Stoned, beaten, crucified. Bible says you can't even be a prophet in your own hometown. I mean, there's so many things. And a lot of you claim to be Christians. You're not really Christian, I can tell you right now. I ain't no theologian, and I'm no preacher or pastor, but I can tell you right now, y'all attitudes this past few weeks, you ain't no Christian. You a Geno, you a God in name only. You're a Geno, you're Jesus in name only. You ain't no Christian. You have no faith. You have no fight whatsoever. And I'm not apologizing one time for knowing what I know. I can't unknow what I know. And if I could unknow what I know, I wouldn't. So just today, there's an article that popped out about Schumer. It says, Senator Schumer, let me read it word for word. Senator Schumer says he has no faith in Trump's judicial system after Comey indictment. Ooh, that is awesome. Why is Obama resurfacing all of a sudden? He's posting a lot more than he ever did on X. Again, disappeared. Why is Hillary resurfacing? Why is Comey resurfacing? All these people are resurfacing. See, y'all want justice. And a lot of you are in that realm. If you don't see justice, it don't mean a thing. You're not willing to go through the trenches. You weren't willing to go through every battle. You weren't willing to go through every single thing to get to the big eclipse, the big platform, the big finale. See, you just want the end results. It's the same thing with a birthday party. You don't want to be the one, hey, what can I do? Can I buy some silverware? Can I provide silverware? Can I provide plates? Can I go get any kind of decorations? What can I do? Can I put the chairs out for you, put the table out for you? What about the cake, candles, etc.? What about gifts? What about this? What about speakers? What about entertainment? Oh, hell no. God forbid. No, no, no. Y'all the ones that just want to show up for the party. Woo. Teach me how to Dougie. Yeah, teach me how to Dougie. Yeah, teach me how to Dougie. You want to do all that. You want to get down. Yeah, sprinkler head. Yeah, baby. You want to do all that. Ooh, this cake is good, good, good. Oh, yeah, and that hunch punch. Woo. I don't know what y'all put in that, but it is good. Man. Woo. Oh, y'all want to party? You want to enjoy the party? You're the life of the party. And then bye when it's time to clean up. That's exactly what y'all are. Y'all negative Nancy's and Debbie, that you're the same person. You just want the end result, and you want that end result to tickle your fancy. And if it don't, you're still going to be negative, whining, complaining, griping. Because if it ain't your way, it ain't no way. You have no team chemistry. You have no team concept. That's why most of you weren't in the military. That's why you can't understand the military mindset. It's because you have no team. And there's some out there, those quote-unquote veterans, the ones that came after me 3 years ago. Wasn't that many of them. Bunch of morons. All right, low IQ. They proved they served for themselves. They served for their money, their stability, themselves. They say all the right things. They walk all. They look the part, walk the part, act the part, but they ain't the part. Because the laws and the orders that are invoked right now outline a mission and goals that are going to liberate the world, liberate America, flip America back on the Declaration of Independence, flip it back on its foundation, and it's going to benefit everybody. No matter what you look like, who you're married to, who you're dating, it don't have anything to do with any of that. Now, there's not going to be any of that bullcrap in the school systems, and there's certain ways to eliminate stuff like that, but it still doesn't ostracize and, take rights away, etc., like that. If you want to be a gay Buddhist and you sit at home, but you know how to be a participant in your town hall, your city hall, and it's all for the good of everybody, the roads getting paved, the bridges getting refixed, whatever it may be, leaving people's children alone, let them raise their children. Unless they're abusing them or harming them or any such way, then we have things for that. But if everybody's pulling their weight, doing what they're supposed to be doing, this is what this operation's for. It ain't for you to stay in the same old rigmarole that you've been in, negative, Debbie Downer, and all this other stuff, but also holier than thou. You know more than the generals, the admirals, the president. You know more than every. It ain't for that. And you got to lose those attitudes. We can't maintain and sustain the future with those attitudes. And you ain't gonna have it around anybody that's like me or even higher than me in positions. You're not. You'll be escorted out of the building. All right? You're not going to have that attitude out there. You're not going to be sitting there and whining and complaining at town halls, city halls, when you don't even know one single word from a single line, from a single paragraph, from a single law. You're not going to do that. It's time to get tough, America. It's time to get tough again. Stop worrying about who's tough and, oh, you sound rude and this. No, you have a problem. If you can't differentiate passion and attitude and rudeness and all that, you have a problem. Every single thing that President Trump talks about are law war manual terms. Occupied country, white flag of surrender, puppet government, capitulation. Those are all law war manual. How is it, again, that every law and order in place always goes back to the military occupation? Puppet government and occupied country are in the same chapter of the law war manual, military occupation. So why would President Trump be using terms that have nothing to do with the federal government over and over and over again that back his laws and orders that show there's a strategic, special operation, government exile, puppet government, irregular warfare, unconventional warfare, all these things that outline a military occupation? Why would he be using terminology other than what? Proclamations. He wouldn't be. It would look like the days of old with others. So this all had to look a certain way. It was going to be some turbulence. Every one of you have ever ridden a plane. Turbulence ain't just for Republicans. Turbulence ain't just for liberals. It ain't like the liberals feel turbulence and the Republicans don't, or the Republicans feel it and the liberals don't. Turbulence is for everybody. Then it's all how you view turbulence. Some kids on a plane be screaming like it's a roller coaster ride, like having fun. Some people, I saw someone on a plane one time, they were biting a pillow and holding a pillow, scared to death. And we were bouncing in the sky. Let me go ahead and tell you right now, I remember that plane ride very well. That big old Boeing was bouncing everywhere. So it's all about your attitude and applying what the president's doing for you. It's his face, his name, his brand, his image, but there's generals and admirals and leaders and world leaders of all different walks, all different ethnicities, all different nationalities who are putting this together. So at the end of the day, when people want to argue with that, you are one special melon head. Let me go ahead and tell you. When you want to argue with men and women of all different walks who have dedicated their whole lives, that's why I had Seth. It's all been done before, but who's the only person? Those of you who have met me out there, you know this. Everywhere I've met you, all across this land, I've said what? He don't have 200 generals backing him. He has 800 plus generals. How many did it say that Head Seth met with? 800 flag officers? How would I know that? There's not another podcaster out there, not a single one, who has said anything about 800 generals and admirals. How did I know that? Oh, you got lucky. So I got lucky with a 596-page book that's independent, right off the top of my head, no publishers. I published my own. I got lucky. Over 700 pages between the two of them. I got lucky. I have the documents.info that are still up, that are dated because they're from 2015 to 2021. I got lucky publishing those to my friends and family in January 2021. I got lucky using those and building what President Trump did from January 2021 to December 2023, which was the first one. And I got lucky from December 2023 to January this year. I got lucky. I got lucky using all of President Donald John Trump's laws and orders from top to bottom, every intricate detail. And I got lucky by all the visuals that he put out all these years. I'm lucky? Well, if I'm lucky, damn, I'm good. Because it's every little intricate thing. It can't outline anything else but what they outline. That's what makes 45-47 so unique. And then the one big thing that proves, just this past couple weeks alone, that proves you're watching a movie on the movie side of things, is Marine One. If you think that President Donald John Trump, now look, I'm going to brag a little bit because I can, but everybody who knows me personally, but also who's been following me a long time, you know my personality. I'm military first. I'm not a podcaster, but I'm not a bragger in another kind of way. I know the opportunity that God gave me, and I didn't abuse it. I have yet to endorse people. I don't have sponsorships. I don't take sponsorships. Everything I do is on my own. The clothing I have, the apparel, my own. The books, independent, no publisher, my own. You don't see me sharing other people's stuff. Everything's me. Everything you see me type on Facebook, most of the time it's by hand on my phone. Sometimes I use my laptop when I need to type fast. I can type over 100 words per minute. All right? So when I need to do that. Everything I do is on my own. So if I can brag just a little bit, I've been to Mar-a-Lago, I've been to Trump International, I've been to Trump Doral. I've been to a few other places too that are very, whatever words you want to use, exquisite, elegant, classical, Renaissance, whatever words you want to use. I've been to them. I know how to blend in there because I was raised that way. There's a few things about me you're going to find out down the road that's going to make sense, but it's not about me. So this ain't about me. But it's all going to make sense when it's all said and done, when it is the appropriate time to show. But I've been to these real fancy places, all right? So President Trump, he lives a immaculate life. The marble that are at these places, some of the tile 500 years old, just you name it. You know, it's pretty trusting to let a lot of members and guests come there walking on tile that's 500 years old. Classic, Spanish style, etc., etc. There's a lot of trust in people, all right? A lot of trust not to drop a glass or drop a plate or whatever it may be, all right? There's a lot of rules there that people don't even get to hear about. But, again, all these places are immaculate. His Trump Force One has Rolls-Royce engines. Rolls-Royce engines. I'm pretty sure most of you would be scared to find out what some of y'all been flying in on them United and Southwest and American. They ain't no Rolls-Royce, I can tell you right now. You probably don't want to know. They might have taken an old Farm International from back in the day and said, you know what, these fools won't ever know because they don't do their research. We can put this bad boy on here and they won't ever know. Right? President Trump rolling with the Rolls-Royce. You obviously don't know the man you claim to support. So, Marine One, it was said way back in December 2016 that we're going to be new Air Force Ones and Air Force Twos, right? President Trump hammered Boeing way back there, said we're not paying this and we're not doing that, we're going to do this, all right? Have you seen the new Air Force One yet? No, you haven't, because it has a whole new paint job on it. So you haven't seen a new Air Force One that you know of, all right? Unless they make Trump Force One, because he favors the smaller jet than the bigger, all right? But whatever, if that ends up being it, then you'll see that down the road. But as of right now, they're still showing you on TV the old Air Force Ones with numbers 28,000 and 29,000 on the tail, all right? There's been no White House military office since January 2022. The White House military office is the transportation of the president and the vice president via Air Force One, Air Force Two, Marine One, Marine Two. The last White House military office that pulls up on Google is Obama. So that's your travel, logistics, communications, and medical units. And there's not a White House military office. So you think President Trump's in charge, which he is, then don't you think that there would be all the things that would operate Air Force One, Air Force Two, Marine One, Marine Two? It's a military operation, ladies and gentlemen. It's a military occupation, which means it's separate from everything of days of old. It's separate from the federal government. The call signs. I've shown how the Department of Defense, now the Department of War again, flying around with the only call signs were presidential call signs, SAM. Air Force One ain't even flown with a call sign. It ain't even flown. It says empty or no call sign. And you wouldn't put Air Force AF2 even on the vice president plane. This is where everybody don't listen. When the president is on board, he could be on a glider, on a crop duster. The aircraft is called Air Force One. That's a different kind of call sign. The call sign displayed on above the hex and the registration, that's your call sign. It should say SAM 45, 46, 47. Hadn't done that. The only people flying with the SAM call sign, Department of War. There's no White House military office. So everything you've been seeing with Air Force One, Air Force Two, Marine One, Marine Two, it's all theater, baby. Because here's why. Dan Scavino shows you things. He's President Trump's right-hand man, one of them. Very, very, very loyal, proven, dedicated, best friend. You got to listen to him sometimes. You got to go watch his page sometimes. He shows you everything you need to see as well. All right. So the other day for the quote-unquote United Nations, the real Marine One was shown, the brand new Marine One. There was a recall on those brand new Marine Ones in November 2021. Then they showed quote-unquote Joe in Chicago on the new Marine One in August 2024. You think that President Trump would let quote-unquote Joe one-up him with a new Marine One? You think that President Donald John Trump would still be rolling around in the old Marine Ones? Because that's what they showed you. They showed President Trump walking to an old Marine One, going to Joint Base Andrews that took him to quote-unquote Phoenix for the Charlie Kirk funeral with no casket, no burial, no resting place. All right. And they also showed you the old Marine One in England that had a hydraulic failure and they had to have an emergency landing. Do you really think that President Donald John Trump, immaculate, all his golf courses, all his places, everything he's done, the marble floors, everything to the Oval Office, you think that that man would be rolling around in the old Marine Ones when there's a new Marine One and it says operational status is green, meaning green to go, meaning operational? I don't think so. And that's where you learn that you're not really a President Donald John Trump supporter. If you were negative this week, if you were Debbie Downer this week, if you know more than me in the comment boxes, if you know more than the president, more than the generals, more than the admirals, and you can't quote a single law and order, you're not a President Trump supporter whatsoever. You're a bandwagon. You're waiting for a good time. You're looking for a good time. And you hope that the good time is what it is for you. You're not here for everybody else. You're not here as a team. You're not learning what you're supposed to be learning. You're not knowing what you're supposed to be knowing, already supposed to be knowing. The good thing is you're not the future. If you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you're not the future. You're going to live a little while in that, but you're not the future. The good thing is if there are young people out there that are willing to read and study and to be a part of something great, and all a lot of you negative Nancy's are, you ain't got nothing else to do with your time. You just got to be negative and get in the comment boxes that have a short shelf life. And you're not going to be, and ain't what the good Lord's going to say when you walk through. If you do make it through the pearly gates, if there are pearly gates, whatever there is and what it looks like, you ain't going to be the one that he's, oh, you fought a good fight. Boy, you sure let them have it in the Facebook comment box over there. Boy, you didn't know what you're talking about. And you were wrong, but boy, your fight was there. No, that ain't what it's going to look like. Hate to break it to you, but love to break it to you. That ain't fighting. It ain't fighting. In the future, you better start changing them attitudes. You better start changing them attitudes if you want to be a part of something, because you ain't going to be a part of it. You ain't going to be a part of it. Now, again, I don't like getting on here doing these kind of videos, but it was needed today. It was needed to kind of recenter, refocus, get people to listen, shut up, and listen. See, hearing to react is way different than listening to respond. And a lot of you needed this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go live again probably tomorrow again, and then we're going to do a back to the basics video. We're going to do a back to the basics, and we're going to show all the people who are new on the page. I'll do from 2015 to present day, and I'll try to make it as short as possible. And we'll go back through there that outlines the 45-47. All right, but again, some people you need to learn to just be quiet, be patient, sit back, observe before you make a comment. Because the whole thing, as long as the law show we're in a continuity government, we're in a military occupation, which is a military operation. And if you don't think this man ain't in charge and don't know what he's doing, whether you think it's real time, which it's not, but if you think it's real time, if you don't think this man don't know what he's doing, you're doing the military an injustice, you're doing President Trump an injustice, you're doing his team an injustice, you're doing every aspect of all teams in military, external and internal, all of us doing that. You're doing all of us an injustice, and you're doing yourself an injustice. Because there's no way I got lucky with all this. There's no way. It's not possible. There are too many laws and orders and visuals to go with those that outline it. So if you love the man, if you support the man, if you love the military, support the military, it would behoove you to go read and study. And if you can't afford these, that's great. They're all over my Facebook, Telegram, and X. I have layers and layers of information. Get you a pen and pad out. Write it down in your own way, what jogs in your memory. Go look it up if you can't afford these, because these have the links in there. I wrote these to where when you're going through it like a workbook, the links are right as you go. You don't have to go to the back of the page, back of the book like old school. You don't have to do that. All you got to do is go as you go. Read as you go. Read as you go. Read as you go. And then all your references are as you go. Rattletrap1776.com. All right, RATTLETRAP1776.com. I still sign all of them, by the way. I don't know what number I'm at now, but I sign all of them. All right, but if you can't afford them, that's what my pages are for. And by the way, my pages are not monetized. They've been flagged from day one. All right, they're not monetized. I don't make money on these videos. All right, so what I do for you daily, you have no excuses. It's my time on my dime, but I'm also doing what I've been tasked to do. All right, so there's that. There's a higher authority doing that. But still, it's on my time. I didn't have to accept it. I didn't have to do this. But I did. And I do. and I love it for you. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. All right? But you have no excuses whatsoever when I don't even make money doing this. And a lot of these pages are monetized. That's why they are always posting videos all the time. But mine's not, and I can prove how it's not monetized whatsoever. It says daily risk of losing page, which they just mean they'll unpublish it, which means I can't invite people to the page, and when people look it up, it's harder to find. So, probably should think about that a little bit more sometimes.